Welcome to the Average John podcast, a podcast about mindset, growth, and finding meaning as an ordinary guy becoming better. If you've ever felt stuck, unfulfilled, or like there's more in you, come and follow along. Please like, comment, and subscribe to be a part of the journey. And let's grow together. So, welcome to Average John. This is our first, I'm saying hour. Yeah, it is hour. We're sharing things. This is my first book review that's going to be on the channel. And it's this book. It's called The Café on the Edge of the World, and it's by a guy called John Strelecky. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it, one of those two ways. But yeah, it says a story about the meaning of life, and on the back, there's a few wee things about it that I'll go into in a second. I got this book from a friend who was telling me about it. He's very much into personal development, growth, mindset. He runs a very successful business and trains people as well. So we definitely have a shared and common interest in these types of books and these types of things. He gave me it. He said he read it cover to cover within a couple of hours, couldn't stop reading it, just wanted to know what was happening. And the book definitely does do that, especially if you have the premise of someone recommending it to say, kept wanting to read it. You it makes you keep wanting to dive deeper and go, where is this going? So yeah, so if we have a look at the back of it, it gives you the idea of it. It says, in a small cafe at a location so remote it stands in the middle of nowhere, a visitor finds three unusual questions on the back of a menu. The first one is, why are you here? The second, do you fear death? And the third, are you fulfilled? With this food for thought and the guidance of three people at the cafe, the visitor embarks on a journey of self-discovery. Along the way, he discovers a new way to look at life, himself, and just how much you can learn from a green sea turtle. That was a really interesting part. So yeah, the main idea of the story, it's a very simple story. It's a guy who's works long hours, is caught in that kind of corporate rat race, if you will, decides to take some time away, to take a vacation, to unwind from things. He ends up caught in traffic. He ends up on a road to nowhere, effectively, running out of fuel and everything else. So it kind of builds up the story of him getting really frustrated that nothing else could go wrong, and what's he actually going to do? He's going to run out of fuel, he's going to be stranded with no phone signal, etc, etc. And out of nowhere, this wee cafe lit up, sees it along the road, comes into it, and it's like, wow, this is exactly what I've needed. I'm starving, it's, late. And so he goes in and he notices those three questions on the actual menu. Why are you here? Do you fear death? Are you fulfilled? And there's a few odd things about it. When the waitress comes over, she seems to be asking standard questions, but there's another level. It's like they've got double meanings, which I think that's what keeps you. It's just purely a conversation between a waitress. It's a very generic experience of being in a cafe, but there's operating at two levels here. There's a level at the surface, and there's a level down here. So yeah, kind of odd cafe, some deep questions, and as the conversations go, he's realising things about himself, and none of this is actually aimed at you as the reader. There's nothing that says you should or have you thought about. It's purely this guy who, because he's thinking about things and it's speaking, the thoughts inside his head are what is getting written down. You're reading that and it automatically sparks thoughts in your head. So you're asking yourself these things as it goes, but also reading. So it's almost like in a subconscious level, it's it's bringing these sort of ideas into your head. It's making you think as you're reading the story how these things apply to you, and if you can answer those questions. So it's interesting. I think that's what keeps you reading. Um, it's very short chapters as well, which is good. I think there's 26, if I'm not mistaken. This will be good memory. 20. Well, I've actually quite surprised myself there is 26, and it was a couple of days ago I read this. Yeah, so it's short chapters, again, it keeps you going. Each character that comes into it and gets introduced by the other, and the waitress always kind of comes in and out in between. They've got their own kind of life lessons or shared experiences or thought-provoking questions. And the kind of theme that runs through it a lot is that they can't tell you the answer. They can only tell you what they've found in their experience. You need to basically take that on board. It's very much a deep dive into yourself, which is another really massive positive of the book. It's all about, although it's about this guy in the cafe and these characters, it's really about you. And the characters in the cafe are saying, this might help you answer this question by seeing someone else's perspective and something that they get taught, and how their life lesson and how they were taught that and how they found things out. So that's really interesting as well. But yeah, the first question that keeps repeating over and over is, why are you here? And the letters morph into, why am I here? It's really related to purpose. You having a purpose. They call it a PFE, they call it PFE, purpose for existence. So again, that idea is always going on in your head as you read. What is your purpose? What's my purpose? Is he going to realise what his purpose is? What is his purpose? All these questions come into your head as you're going. But yeah, I don't want to give lots away and go into the exact things. I'll maybe say one thing because it says it on the back about the green sea turtle, and go to things that I liked about it. That's the one thing that's really stuck out to me anyway. And yeah, I took this and I read it cover to cover in about 2 hours. I just went, okay, I'm going home to read this. Read it, done, and yeah, it was like that was a really good book. It's the first book I think I've read in that short a time. It's not a particularly long book, but yeah, it does make you want to keep reading and, dig into it and see what's in it for you. But yeah, the big thing was the sea turtle lesson in it. Now, basically, it's talking about someone looking at a sea turtle, snorkel gear on. They have the flippers, they have the goggles, etc. So they're pretty well equipped to at least try and keep up and swim fast. So they're basically watching this sea turtle. They see this beautiful green sea turtle, and what they're doing is they're trying to keep up with it. So they're swimming, the sea turtle's swimming, and what they notice is the sea turtle stops at points, and they're still swimming, but it always seems to get away and get out of sight. And eventually they come to realise, I think it's the second or third day that they're seeing this and this experience, this magnificent animal, this sea creature, that what it's actually doing is it only swims when the waves are coming from behind it to push it forward. When the waves are coming towards it, it just stays, it remains in the water. So that then triggered a thought in one of the characters to say that life is full of waves. Some waves are coming at you, and some are carrying you forward. And when you know why you're here, when you have a purpose, you can decide that you're not going to swim against waves. You're basically patiently waiting on those waves to turn round And what you do is you make the most use of your energy by putting the most energy in when the waves are pushing you forward. Really ride those waves. And that's the whole thing. You then save your energy for when the next wave that pushes behind you. Because if you're constantly trying to swim against waves coming towards you, you tire yourself out, and when the tide does turn and the waves are behind you, you don't have as much energy to ride those waves and propel yourself forward. So I suppose for me, you need to basically recognise the waves coming towards you and the waves going out. The waves going out for me is what you enjoy doing, your purpose, your passion, and a lot of it is linked to that as well. The thing with the sea turtle as well that really got me. Now, I'm a Christian and I'm familiar with the Bible. Not everyone is, but I do, and you might not be a Christian, but I do believe that the Bible has wisdom in it. And one of the things it made me think about was there's a scripture in Job. Now I might need to actually link it or write it down in the screen somewhere here, but it's basically talking about listen to the animals and they'll teach you. And to be able to get and glean that amount of that deeper lesson from just watching a turtle in its natural environment, and that can give you a lesson about life, really hits to me. That's the main one. You can look at animals and you can learn so much from them, and I think animals are such amazing creatures. And you know, a lot of people are really mesmerised by animals, and there's a connection there. There is such a connection between human and animals, I believe. And to see that and notice that there's lessons that deep about life to be learned from just watching a sea turtle swim is phenomenal. Really good. Um, the other thing that kind of it's very empowering. The book is very empowering. It's talking about empowering yourself to decide what you want to do, and you can make changes to yourself, which if you're into self growth or personal development at all, if you really dig in, you really can make changes. I've made lots of changes for the positive, that's really kind of changed my life. This book highlights that as well, that you have the power within you to make changes and make your life better. Anyone can do that. It starts from in yourself. So that's another real key aspect that runs through the pages of this, is that empowerment, self-empowerment, if you will. It's empowering you as a person and reminds you that you have choices and you have the power to change. Another one that was a favourite point was spend time doing what you truly enjoy, what you're passionate about. Now, when I done therapy, I done CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, for a period of 6 months a few years ago, and one of the things I did was had a sheet, and it basically was a score. I think it was between 1 and 3, a list of loads of different activities, and score out of 3 for how happy it makes you feel, how happy you feel doing it, and score of 1 to 3, how often do you do it. So if you have something of a 3 that makes you really happy, but you never do it, it's a 1. Why? You need to bring that up. If you have something that's a 1 and you seem to do it all the time, why? It doesn't bring you that much joy. Now, everyone's got responsibilities, and I get that, and it's really good to have these tasks of life, just general in life, to keep up with and be on top of. But this was more of an enjoyment thing and leaning in to the things you enjoy. Now, everything does need to be in balance, but if you have X amount of free time out with responsibilities, where are you spending it? Because if you spend time on things you're passionate about, you're 100% more happy. you are 100% more fulfilled than what you are if you don't do them. So finding them is a good place to start. And another little link to that I found is, think about times where time goes so fast. What are you doing when time goes boom? You know what I'm talking about. You know that there's times or there's activities you do that you feel you could spend, all day, 3 days doing, and time would just whiz by. You're like, where did the time go? That's a good key, and that's normally another sign, and I'll do more videos about flow state. I'm fascinated with flow state, and I've been looking into that, and also doing a little experiment with myself recently about flow state. Being in a state of flow does give you it's a guide of purpose as well. It's something you're obviously passionate about and you love doing. Lean into it. A sign of a state of flow is going in, time going really quickly. So yeah, spend time doing what you truly enjoy was another idea that was really jumping out for this book, and it was good to be reminded of that. The other thing that, and the last thing, or I suppose the last favourite point from this book, is it's not all about money. You can, if you, it's hard to explain, but yeah, money is not important. Money and financial stability helps. It does, it 100% does. And I can say that from a place of not always being financially stable to becoming more financially stable. It definitely helps, but it doesn't solve problems. I went from a stage of being really not good financially to then getting a job and being really good financially, and it did not solve problems. It actually made life worse, and that's when I was at my lowest, was during that time where I was making the most money. And that, to me, shows that it's not about that. I wasn't doing things that fulfilled me. So money definitely helps. Being in more financial stability helps, but it's not the most important. You think about, for instance, people, some celebrities, etc., that made a lot of money. They're not happy, or were not happy, and it led to really dark places, and even at times it led to them, no longer being alive, which is really sad. I think knowing that and remembering that you can chase things with money, you could chase things to try and be fulfilled. And the more you try and do that, the more you're tied to maybe something that doesn't fulfill you, aka a job, that you then are kind of you're more stuck to that. Because the more things you buy, you have to keep up with, you have to spend more time doing something you don't enjoy. Simplifying is definitely the way to go. But there is a balance between it. You can have both. You can look to make money or make good money and be in a good job. The best thing to do is if that's fulfilling. I think that's really what we should define success as. But yes, I'm going to wrap it up there because we're just coming up in 20 minutes, and I'll probably keep it to 20 minutes. But yeah, definitely give this book a bash. The Café on the Edge of the World. Definitely very thought-provoking, and some deep questions to ask yourself. Hopefully it does give you a positive perspective change. It definitely reminded me, and it took me a couple of days. It was kind of like in there to kind of reflect on it, and it's good after a couple of days to reflect back on it and go, that was actually really good, and the lessons that I can take from it, because that's the main thing. Take lessons from life. What can I learn from this? What can I apply, move forward, grow? That's what growth's all about. And that will definitely lead you to be more fulfilled and have more meaning, more happiness. It definitely does. So yeah, Café on the Edge of the World by John Strelecky. Give it a read, and let me know in the comments below what did you think of it, and if you have any other recommendations that I can read and give a review on. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.